You know, when we think about space travel, we always talk about the amazing rockets and the incredible spacewalks. But what about the really basic stuff? Like, how do you take a shower? Today, we're going to dive into one of the most surprisingly tricky parts of living in orbit. Just how do astronauts stay clean when there's no gravity to lend a hand?
Now, that sounds like a simple question, right? But up in space, it is a huge engineering problem. Seriously, how do you wash your hair when water doesn't fall? What do you do when you can't just turn on a tap and let gravity do all the work for you?
Okay, so the first major hurdle is something I like to call the zero-G grime. And to get it, you pretty much have to throw out everything you know about how water is supposed to work. All those basic rules of physics that we count on every day for hygiene on Earth, they just don't apply up there. I mean, think about your morning shower. Water comes out of the shower head, it runs over your body, and it goes right down the drain. Easy. The soap suds just wash away. We never even think about it because gravity is our silent partner in staying clean. But what happens when you take gravity completely out of the picture? Well, that's when you run into a really big problem. In the microgravity of orbit, water starts to behave in a totally alien way. And here's the absolute heart of the issue. Instead of flowing, water in space forms these floating blobs. It just kind of hangs in the air. If you squeeze a wet washcloth, the water doesn't drip down. Nope. It clings to the cloth, it clings to your hand, it sticks to literally any surface it touches, all because of surface tension. It wants to stick, not fall. So this weird water behavior, it creates three massive problems. First, you've got these floating water balls that could get into sensitive electronics and cause all sorts of damage. Second, your sweat doesn't just drip off you. It sticks to your skin in this gross, clammy layer. And finally, every single drop of water on the space station is incredibly precious. It all has to be recycled, which means a long hot shower is completely out of the question. When you put it side by side like this, the difference is just wild. Here on Earth, water goes down a drain, sweat evaporates, and we kind of take water for granted. In orbit, it is the total opposite. You're fighting floating blobs of water, you're covered in sticky sweat, and you have to make sure you don't waste a single drop. So, faced with all that, how on earth did NASA solve this? They couldn't just turn off physics, right? So instead, they changed the chemistry. And that brings us to what you could call the rinse-free revolution. The absolute star of this show is the no-rinse shampoo. It's such a clever piece of chemistry. Basically, it uses these special cleaning agents that are designed to grab onto dirt and oil and trap them, but without needing a ton of water to wash them away. The shampoo does the cleaning, and a towel does all the rinsing. And this isn't just about shampoo, by the way. This technology is part of a complete toolkit for staying clean in space. Astronauts have these special no-rinse body wipes and soaps that all work on the exact same principle. You apply the cleaner, and then you just wipe it all off. All right, so they've got the tools, but what does it actually look like when an astronaut on the International Space Station showers? Let's walk through the actual process. Believe it or not, the whole space shower boils down to two super simple steps. First, they apply. They'll squeeze a little bit of water from a pouch to get their hair or skin damp, and then they work in the no-rinse shampoo or soap. Then, for step two, they just wipe it off. They use a towel to wipe everything away. The cleaner, the dirt, the oil, it all comes off, and they're left totally clean. But you know, this whole ingenious solution, it's about so much more than just not being smelly in space. It's a perfect example of how exploring other worlds forces us to completely rethink the most basic parts of our everyday lives. And that, for me, is the really cool takeaway here. A simple task, something as boring as taking a shower here on Earth, becomes this incredibly complex puzzle in orbit. And solving it, well, that's a testament to some serious human ingenuity and our amazing ability to adapt to these completely alien environments. So that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. We've just seen how a simple shower had to be completely reinvented for space. So what else? What other everyday object, something like a coffee cup or a pair of scissors, would need a total redesign